So we just saw Presents, which I had seen before, and Megan, this was her first time, but we had talked about it a little, but she did intentionally avoid some spoilers.
I just avoided like details.
Yeah.
So I knew the basic plot beats, but the movie itself was still a very new experience because there was a lot of detail in it.
I love the amphicar behind you.
There's a lot of detail in it that you can't get from just reading about it. I liked it. I thought it was a very, very well done movie.
I agree.
It was very quiet.
Yes.
But it wasn't boring. It was just tense enough that it was eerie.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple moments where I wasn't exactly scared, but I was unsettled.
Okay.
That kind of freaked me out, like, what the heck is going on? Just like some of the things the ghost did to interact with the environment kind of freaked me out a little, because I wasn't expecting that to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Okay.
That stuff was, like, it was kind of like a regular poltergeist.
Yes.
In that, like, ooh, lights flickering and objects moving around.
Right.
But I didn't know that was going to happen, so it freaked me out a little bit.
Okay.
But it wasn't a horror movie. Definitely not.
This movie theater, we were excited because we thought it was doing a better job of putting more appropriate previews on this movie. It had put a bunch of thrillers.
Yeah.
Like good thriller type movies.
Like Black Bag.
Black Bag. Yeah, was there another one we can think of? The one with the window cleaner lady. What was that? Cleaner.
There was one called Novocaine, which was a thriller, but it was really graphic.
Yeah, graphic. Okay. He can't feel any pain. And then we're like, yay, this is good. And now the movie can start. No. Then there were a bunch of stupid red trailers, horror trailers again. Why? No. They don't go on this movie. Please stop. Okay, back to Megan.
Were some parts that, like, make it very clear to me why it's an R-rated movie.
Well, the language alone. If you have the F word,
yeah.
I think if you have the F word in a movie, it has to be
well,
R.
they certainly did have the F word
Yeah.
quite a few times. And they just had some brief sexual scenes, but
Right.
nothing that really bothered me. I've seen shows and movies that swear more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. The one thing that really stuck with me was just that the whole thing was very sad.
Yeah, it is.
Even right from the get-go, just the whole movie, everyone is very sad, and what's happening to them is kind of depressing. Their family's kind of falling apart a little bit.
Yeah.
And at the end, I actually cried just because it's pretty impactful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, it was just really sad. So, like, do not go to this movie if you want to, like, just have a nice movie day. Go to this movie if you want to actually be introspective and pay attention to the cinematic details, because otherwise you're just gonna go and you're gonna be like, wow, that was depressing and boring. But it wasn't boring. It
It's
was
really well done.
interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool story.
I was a little worried that the first person camera angle would make me sick, because there were times where it shook.
Yeah,
and,
it does. It does shake.
When,
yeah.
Just when it turns sometimes, it moves so quickly that everything is kind of blurry, and that kind of messes with my head a little bit. But it was fine overall, and it was a very unique experience and a good way to, I think it was an excellent way to film that movie.
Megan brought up a really good point, which was, how did they disguise the cameraman's footsteps? Because especially because this is an old house with creaky floors.
Yeah, and like,
I don't know how
there
they
were a
did
few
that.
times where the ghost went up the stairs.
Right.
And there were also a few times just by itself. And there were also a few times where it followed someone going up the stairs.
Right.
And the human, their footsteps would be like clunk,
Clunk, clunk, clunk up the stairs, yeah.
The ghost was silent.
Yeah.
So they must have done something with
Sound.
the cameraman's feet or the sound editing.
Yeah.
To make it absolutely silent, because there was no sound whatsoever produced by the cameraman.
Well,
There was one time, but it was purposeful.
Yes. What would you rate it out of 5?
A 5.
Would you? Yeah.
The acting was astonishing.
Yeah, the acting was really good.
There was one character in particular, I won't give any spoilers, but, like, it felt very, very real.
Yeah.
And I started to think about, like, the actor, like, how did the actor step into this role and take this on, because it was really intense. I also really loved the music. It started out very simplistic as just, like, a pretty piano melody, with not necessarily any emotion behind it. And then each time there were big gaps of silence where there was no music and just talking. And then each time the music came back, it was more intense and more instruments had been added to it to give it a more intense orchestral feel. And I thought that was very clever, and it led up to the climax very well. Not to give anything away, there are a lot of details I could point out, but I feel like this is a movie that is much better experienced than talked about.
Yeah.
Just like Conclave.
Yes, which is still here, and
Yes.
I might have to go see it again. Seriously. Okay, here's a couple things that I learned and or noticed from seeing it again, and from a comment that Megan made. One thing that I was wondering about was the timing of when the presence, the ghost, had died. And now it is clear to me when that was. I thought it could have been a Sixth Sense thing originally because of something that Lucy Liu's character says at the very end.
Yeah.
I thought, was somebody actually dead the whole time?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But then watching it over again,
No, it was clear that was
definitely
the case.
not. So that helped me understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely just noticed some little things throughout that I didn't notice watching it the first time by myself.
Yeah.
But Megan made a comment when they're looking at the house at the beginning. The realtor points out this mirror over the fireplace that Chloe
Yes.
is looking at, the daughter. And the realtor comes and says, "Isn't that cool? It's 100 years old. It's original to the house. It's made out of
Silver nitrate.
Yep.
And that's very, very important to this story because it is a ghost story. A lot of people, you'll hear it all over if you're thinking about urban legends, ghost stories, vampires especially. So, historical fact, the reason that vampires in fiction cannot be seen in mirrors is because vampires were thriving in fiction. At the time, mirrors were backed with silver. And vampires are hurt by silver. It hurts
right.
them, just like fairies. And
Okay.
so they do not react with the silver, and so they can't be seen in mirrors.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what it is, but there's also just silver nitrate is a substance you hear about in horror a lot, or ghost stories. And I don't remember exactly what it is with ghosts, but I believe because the mirrors are backed with silver nitrate, ghosts can be seen in them, because otherwise they wouldn't be seen. They're invisible. But when they step into the silver nitrate mirror, they can be seen. And so I noticed
Yeah.
that
And I didn't notice this the first time.
every time the ghost approached a mirror in the house, and I don't think all of the mirrors in the house were silver, I think it was just the one.
No, I think there were two. I saw one someplace else.
There was one in a bedroom that
Yeah.
I think was modern. I don't know if all the mirrors were silver, but every time the ghost approached a mirror, it would stop just shy of being visible in it, or it would turn so that its vision did not show
the mirror.
so that you could not see
Because
the ghost's face.
again, remember, if you saw my review, the entire movie is from the perspective of the ghost. So what you're seeing is what the ghost sees, and what you're hearing is what the ghost hears. And so cannot see anything that
the ghost
ghost
cannot
doesn't see.
Yeah.
So if the ghost gets close to the mirror and then turns to the side, like Megan's saying, you can't see the mirror,
ghost in
so
the
you
mirror.
can't see the reflection.
It was weird to me because the ghost could interact with its environment. It could move things.
Yeah.
But there were a couple times where like the humans would close a door to a room, and it was like the ghost was trapped in that room.
That's what I said. I don't think it could go through solids.
No.
But at one point it did open, it pushed the door closed. It didn't open
But
the
it
door.
was like it pushed it closed with the force,
Yeah.
not with
Not
its hands
touching
or
it,
anything.
yeah.
It didn't touch anything.
And Megan pointed out something too, when it's trying to
communicate.
or get the attention of the living people.
It's this very.
I thought it was shaking something.
Well, I think shaking is a good way to
but
put it.
she
too,
said
but-
it's like it's
Let me
Yeah.
describe it. So what happens when the ghost tries to get someone's attention is the screen shakes a little, kind of distorts, all wobbly,
and there was a
and there's a
sound.
distinct plexiglass sound.
Yeah.
And so to me, it seemed like the ghost was like banging on
The boundary.
the metaphysical wall between itself. Yeah, like the boundary between
Yeah.
itself
And the living.
people and the living. And so it had to bang
To try to get their attention. Yeah.
because it couldn't talk to them.
Right. Okay, so back to the mirror thing for a second. After Megan pointed that out, I started to really pay attention to it. And once she said that, I couldn't not see it. So it was obviously very deliberate on the part of the filmmakers that the mirrors were there, and that every time you got close to a mirror, the angle would be such that you could not see the reflection of the ghost in the mirror. But there are 2 points in the film. I realized, I thought originally there was only 1, but there's actually 2 points now, because this is something major I caught that I didn't catch the first time, where the ghost is seen in the mirror. And I didn't catch the first one. And what?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's what comment I made. It was the comment about the mirror that
Yes.
I made that made you realize that it was seen once before the end.
Right. It was seen once before the end, and I didn't catch that the first time. And once I realized that it had been,
I'm
yes.
glad you pointed it out
To me, though, at that point, because I don't think I would have noticed that specifically.
Because if I had realized that was what it was, it would have made a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
So now that I realized that the ghost was seen earlier in the film than at the very end, which I already told you that it was seen at the very end, but it's seen before that once, and I didn't realize that's what was happening and why that person reacted the way they did.
Going along with that, it's a very small cast. It mostly is
11
just,
people.
It's like 11 people.
Yep.
And it's mostly just the family. But there are like 3 or 4 times where a person not in the family comes by the house. Like at the beginning, they're moving in and they're painters.
The realtor.
The realtor.
Yeah.
Okay, stuff like that. There are a few times where those people come in and everything that those people say and do is extremely important.
Yeah.
And it's because of them that you're able to piece all the details together.
Yeah.
If those characters were not in the movie,
Right.
the
If
family
it was
wouldn't know
just
what's
the
going on.
if it was just the family, you wouldn't have enough information. You've got to listen very carefully to the other people, the other characters in the movie.
And I think that's another reason why I don't think people who are saying it's boring are paying enough attention.
Yeah, they're not listening.
Because there's lots of information. Like, I caught right away the thing about the silver nitrate. It was the first 2 minutes of the film.
But I didn't know that. So the fact that you said that was like, oh.
But but that's why I'm telling you viewers, so that you know, if you see this movie, pay attention to everything they say, because everything is very important.
All right, last thing. I'm going to tell Megan, without spoilers, about this article I read that was kind of an interview with Steven Soderbergh, who made the movie. Okay, the reason there are such sharp cuts between the scenes, which you commented on, is because the ghost is going in and out of the realm of the living.
Oh.
So like some of the time,
that's weird.
It's there and paying attention, and some of the time it's like it goes into darkness.
Okay, and that's why there are like time jumps.
Right, that's why there's time jumps. And that's also, I think, why the ghost is confused.
Because it can't see everything.
Because it can't see everything. It's only seeing certain things. And it's
I thought the time jumps were just cinematic.
I thought they were too originally, but then when I read that article, it said, no, that was intentional to show you that the ghost can't see everything. It's only coming
it's like sometimes
and
it
seeing.
gets drawn back.
Right.
Because the cuts are extremely abrupt.
Right. And it's like, it's only getting to see. And that's why the ghost is trying to figure it out too. The ghost is like, why am I here? What am I doing here? What's my purpose?
Yeah.
It knows it's there for a reason and it needs to do something, but it doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now that I understand that, it makes more sense why it like jumps in time.
Yeah.
You know, like not much, but
Could
I mean,
like the next day or something.
Right. Or like a few weeks later or something, you know, and it only gets to hear certain things and see certain things. It's building to a thing.
Yeah.
I guess is the things that it gets.
It's like the ghost needs to put the pieces
together itself
in order to get the full picture.
Yeah. But anyway, that's all we're gonna say. Highly recommended. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Megan gives it a 5 out of 5. Presence, not a horror movie. It's a ghost movie.
Yeah.
Think like Ghost. Seriously.
Yeah.
With Patrick
it
Swayze
is.
and
Patrick Swayze.
And
there
Demi Moore.
are some funny parts.
Yeah.
Even.
There's some funny parts. It's a drama with a little bit of thrill.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And
it's like a mix of Ghost and the others, but far less scary.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Those.
I said Others, Sixth Sense, and Premonition.
Yes.
But this was the least scary of any of those. Yeah. That's what we will say. So there you go. Thanks for watching this review. To get Megan's thoughts. Hope you enjoyed this lovely setting. See you next time.